So if this helps someone moving ahead with their project, I am glad to do it. There was all the information was out there in the internet, but man, it took a little bit of poking around, and so I'm going to try to spoon feed this to anybody who is doing a unit bearing or a hub bearing swap into an S10 frame. There is a well-known knuckle swap that you do, and you find a Blazer, I believe it's 99 through '05 two-wheel drive front knuckle, and it bolts right into the S10 upper and lower control arms, and it allows you to go from a spindle knuckle to this bearing, which then this allows you to go to big Corvette brakes, which is just a great upgrade. So this unit bearing shows up with M12 1.5 studs in it that are, of course, too short. Or I mean, they kind of sort of work, but it's probably half of a acorn nut engagement. So you could do it, but it's just not recommended. So you're going to be popping the studs out and getting some longer ones. And the rear of this project is going to have half-inch 20 lug nuts on the back, and the idea of having them different front and rear just bugged me. And since I was popping the studs anyway, it seemed like, okay, let's just go to the half-inch. So then you go down the wormhole of, okay, so now I need to find some studs, and they're out there. ARP makes some 3-inch ones, and I think Muzzies is the other company that makes some, and kind of a common swap for Ford Mustangs. So I got a hold of those. They are these bigger ones on the left. They came 3 inches long. I've taken 2 5/8. I'm sorry, I've taken 5/8 of an inch off of that, cleaned it up, and they're smooth with the nuts. So that's fine. But then you've got to drill out the holes there, and while you can certainly drop it off at a machine shop and they can take care of it for you, it seemed like if you were disciplined about being careful, you could keep everything centered, which I've done. So the drill bit on the right is a 15/32, and that is effectively the hole that was in the unit bearing when I knocked out the small studs. So the recommended, and here's where it took a fair amount of just poking around on the internet to find it, but 3964 is that big beast on the left, and that is the recommended hole to drill so that the 3-inch long half-inch by 20 wheel stud will fit in there. The knurl, I have learned way too much about knurls. So that knurl on the bottom is a .625, and the 3964 drill bit is the recommended for that. So you don't run down to your hardware store and get that drill bit. That drill bit generally is kind of a machinist kind of thing. And I found one on Amazon, and it shipped really quickly. But look at the difference. Look how big that is. It did not seem like it was the right thing to do to try to get that all at once. I was going to have 10 holes, and I didn't want to buy a bunch of bits. But at the same time, I didn't feel like taking that all out in one hog was the way to go. So what I did was started with that 15/32, and which is what the hole was, and I tried to go up about a 1/16 of an inch, and it was just an aggressive bite. Ended up going up a 32nd a couple times, finally got close, and then broke the bit out at the 3964, and lots of oil, lots of even pressure, held everything perpendicular, and was able to chew it through. I've read on some forums that some people say, yeah, get 2 or 3 of those bits in case it goes south. And the other thing I'll say is that there's a bit of a learning curve to the pressure you're putting in there to do it. I did not take the discipline to jig it up in my drill press to put those holes in. I went ahead and clamped it with aluminum vise jaws in my bench vise, and held them. And again, I was really disciplined, and I've done this a while, that I felt like, yeah, I can hold this thing perpendicular. And taking the small bites of material out with the drill bit certainly also helped kind of assure me, as I was taking material out, that I could see I was staying perpendicular to the face of that. So all said and done, got them all in on the first one, and they put the wheel back on, and everything centered up just great. So obviously the wheels are registered on that hub, but the lug nuts were all straight out and it went on no problem. So again, if this helps somebody moving forward with their project, man, it's nice to have all this information out there, a little easier than what I went through. And maybe I made it harder to find it, but hope it helps. Thanks for watching. While I'm covering some details here on this this little wheel stud hub change, I thought I'd just show off this little thing that I made. One of the things that's always a challenge is when you get over to the press to kind of hold everything the right way so you're not putting undue pressure on the wrong parts. And I realized that this would be kind of a slick way to have this hub dealt with for both hammering out the old studs and putting in the new. Yeah, you can draw them on with bolts and washers and stuff, but I really like to use a press where I can. And I also don't want to hammer on that hub and have all that pressure go flying into the bearing. So supporting it seemed like the right thing to do. So I sketched out a little piece of paper, started playing with it, and then grabbed that angle iron, which is a 3x3, 5/16 thickness. Plasma cut that shape in it, put a couple supports so it doesn't fall over, and what it does is you can set it up both ways. Let's pay attention here, and you have to manipulate the bearing so that it fits under there and leaves you the area where the stud can exit, which is right there. And when you set it up there on the press or hammer to knock them out, you got that way. And then going the other way for putting them in, same thing applies. And then you've got that little notch right there, well supported. Hold it on the press and then just drive it in. So yeah, there's other ways around that. You can hold pipes, you can hold, whatever. I just wanted to knock something out quick that was going to just give me the comfort of knowing I wasn't putting undue stress on it. So that's all part of the way I kind of approach stuff. All right, thanks again.